All right. Hello, hello. We are here to get started to talk about our topic for today, self aware but still stuck. How to stop repeating old emotional patterns. So, if you are new to this space, go ahead and drop where you're from in the chat. Reserve any questions you have for the end. I'm so excited, you guys, to introduce you to these concepts and help you navigate emotional stuckness. So let's get started. So, my name is Amaka. I am an emotional transformation specialist. I am also a coach. I coach in the emotional realm, how to manage emotions, especially at the subconscious level. I'm also a multidisciplinary artist. So, I love to paint, I love to create things. That's just something that brings me joy. The focus of my work obviously is helping people who care deeply. So, empaths, people who find themselves looking for themselves in other people. Um, I help those of you who feel really deeply, feel safe enough to get out of survival mode patterns. So, this is what we're going to be talking about today: how to move forward from stuck emotions. Before we start, this is your time, so make sure that you're turning off your phone, close any open tabs, get rid of any distractions, fully pay attention, grab a pen, grab a notebook. You'll definitely want to write down some insights, some hot gems. Decide now that it is your time to show up in this world. So really just put all your focus and energy. Put your phone on do not disturb if you need to. Grab some water, tell somebody to wash the kids, whatever you need to do. Put all of your attention and focus here for this time for yourself. So tell me in the chat, have you ever wanted to feel a sense of peace without needing to escape your life? Let me know in the chat. What would peace feel like to you? Those of you who are dropping answers in the chat, just let me know, what would peace feel like to you if you had it? Okay, I'm seeing a couple people say relieving. I'm seeing a couple people say feel like freedom. It'll feel like hope, like joyfulness, like finally quiet, finally calm. Love it. Love it. Okay, awesome. Now, how hard has it been for you to put your needs first? This is a really big question for a lot of people, but just think about it for a moment. How hard has it been for you to put your needs first, to think of yourself? Extremely, very hard, challenging. Okay. All right. So, at the very least, it's been a challenge. It's been pretty hard for a lot of people, and understood, because putting your needs first as someone who is deeply caring can be very difficult. So, again, that's why we're here today to talk about what you can do instead. Now, does this sound like you? You want to be able to show up fully present in your life without feeling exhausted or worried all the time? You tried to meditate, you tried journaling or just breathing, box breathing, maybe even therapy, but the calm just never seems to stick. Is that you? Drop a one in the chat if that's you. Do you wish you could just experience joy and peace that lasts? That feels like it's not fleeting, like it's not about to escape you the moment you relax into it? Drop a one in Drop a 1 in the chat if that's you. Do you wish you could just figure out how to feel calm and regulated, even in the moments when life is chaotic? And you see this picture here, actually, it was on a trip I took to Greece. And I looked so peaceful in this moment, but there were so many things on my mind in terms of work. Even though I had PTO, it was hard for me to shut my brain off when it came to work or worrying about what I needed to do when I get back. And of course, those thoughts really heightened my nervous system. It really made me feel anxious. And in different moments, it was hard for me to relax and just enjoy the vacation. Even though I had the time, even though, the work will be waiting for me when I get there, just somehow my body, my nervous system wouldn't get on board with that reality. So I knew that I'm on vacation and all is good, but my body still felt like it couldn't relax in moments, and it still felt very reactive instead of calm. So I'm just here to say, you're not broken. You just haven't been given the right tools. Imagine how you would feel if you could just release old patterns, old emotional programming, and feel lighter, even when you're triggered. Imagine if you could experience calm and clarity daily, no matter what's happening around you. Imagine feeling rooted, aligned, and devoted to your truest self without feeling guilty about it. So here's what we're going to learn today. One, your calm already exists. That state, that inner calm that you're looking for is already there. You just need to know how to access it. Because when you're able to access it consistently, especially in moments where there's heightened things going on, there's chaos, there are things outside of your control, you can find moments of calm and peace even within that. And that can become your default way of activating versus immediately becoming triggered into anxiety or hopelessness or helplessness. So this just puts you in a different position, and it's something you already have. You just need to know how to tap into it. Two, old patterns hijack you until you reprogram them. This is really important. So when you learn to start tweaking and reprogramming the patterned reaction you have to stress or to difficult moments or triggering moments, you stop feeling like your emotions are just taking over, and you start feeling like you can actually choose your response. It's never fun to feel out of control of your emotions and like you're just being triggered and then reacting. And after the fact, you're wondering, what happened? Or why do I keep doing that? So this can look like, people pleasing. This can look like avoiding. This can look like um, ignoring your own needs, putting other people before you, saying yes when you mean no. And the third secret we're going to be uncovering here is transformation happens in the body, not just in the mind. So it's not enough to just know what's wrong or know what patterns you have. It's about understanding how your body is reacting as well. We can have all the awareness, all the insight to understand the issue. But if we don't feel differently, it's very difficult to tap into that sense of peace or confidence or even self trust without feeling like you're faking it. Now, are you ready to dig into these three secrets and learn more about how to apply this to your own life? Drop a 2 in the chat if you're ready. I see some active engagement. I see some questions and some thoughts. Awesome. All right, let's get into it. Before we dive into the details, though, I do want to share my story just so you understand a little bit about how I got here and how I learned to create inner peace for myself. So, I worked in the New York foster care system when I first started getting my license, my degree as a clinical mental health therapist. And I was doing everything I could to make sure I was on top of things. I was moving up the ladder. I was showing responsibility, doing all the things that needed to be done, helping out, so many things. And on top of that, I was also managing my own personal life. I thought all this juggling, all this, um, you know, putting all my energy into my work or into my family, all these other relationships. I thought that's just what successful women did. I didn't know any better. And from the outside looking in, it kind of looked like nothing was wrong, like everything was all good. I thought I was handling my stress by just pushing through, staying productive, keeping it all together, maintaining. One day I was at my desk and it was, after a session and I was gearing to get ready for another session. And in those days, I would spend probably about 15 minutes tops in between my sessions. So out of nowhere in this 15-minute time span, I just felt a wave of heaviness, of just exhaustion. And I was like, what is going on here? And soon I realized I was burning out. I realized that I was burning out not because I wasn't trying hard enough, but because I was disconnected from my own needs, what my body was trying to communicate to me, what I needed to be able to be the best tool that I could be for my clients. I was showing up for everyone else. I was trying to stay strong, even in moments where I was very exhausted. I was doing all the right things, but still feeling overwhelmed, feeling disconnected, feeling on edge. Can any of you relate to that? Drop a two in the chat if you can relate to what I'm talking about. I really wanted to reconnect with myself once I realized this disconnect was there. I wanted to understand what my purpose was, why I was doing what I was doing, other than it was a noble thing to do. I wanted to understand how to find peace and balance in a very real, sustainable way. I was no longer willing to accept a life where I looked strong, but didn't feel internally supported. Now, looking back, it seems as though everything I was struggling with was actually guiding me towards deeper alignment that I didn't know I needed. In October of 2021, I made the decision to stop normalizing emotional patterns that kept me feeling overwhelmed, stuck, maybe relief at the end of the day or the weekend, but just stuck in this cycle of emotional overwhelm and burnout. And I wanted to start learning how to actually live my life from a place of balance. So, the first thing I did is learn how to slow down long enough to truly identify how I was feeling, really be able to name that emotion and not dismiss it, not power through, really sit with it and understand what was coming up for me. And more than that, how that was impacting my day. I did not want to ignore the signs of exhaustion. I did not want to ignore discomfort. I wanted to pay attention to it purposely. I struggled with letting go of perfectionism and breaking the habit of over functioning for my loved ones. That was the big hill that I was trying to break free of. And it wasn't just about my mentality. It was very much about paying attention to when that type of emotional pattern surfaced. I struggled with regulating my nervous system and calming my mind down without just forcing myself through it. I learned really quickly that it's easier said than done. But the first part, the big part, was being aware of how this emotional pattern showed up in my life. And eventually, the more I put into action the tools and techniques that I'm going to tell you about later on today, the easier it became to regulate my nervous system and find that calmness in any moment. I knew that in order to stop feeling stuck in these emotional cycles, these patterns of overwhelm, overthinking, people pleasing, I needed to actually address the root of the issue instead of showing up with my mask of busyness, of always being on and being disciplined, never saying no to anything and showing up for everyone. So I built new intentional habits. I slowed down my reactions. I found some space to breathe between being triggered and taking action. I allowed myself to slow down and I learned to process my emotions in real time in a way that was very helpful and that didn't make me feel stuck or like I was dwelling on emotions that wouldn't budge. Over the next few years since that time, I use these tools and techniques to refocus my energy in a purposeful way. And this allowed me to not feel guilty about saying no to things or showing up for myself, prioritizing my needs when I feel called to do so. I began to feel a sense of flow and alignment that I'd never experienced before this journey. I started being able to handle challenges without feeling completely drained or overwhelmed or emotionally reactive. One thing I've noticed since doing this work is that most people, like me, were just trying to push through their stressful moments without ever addressing the underlying emotional and energetic patterns that were keeping them stuck. I then developed my own framework just by going through this experience and working with other people with the same issues. I came up with the framework for identifying the hidden blocks and regulating your nervous system. And this is called the Path to Peace Blueprint. Once I started helping people understand the root cause of their triggers instead of managing the symptoms, I started helping them release stuck emotions and patterns that were keeping their soul from thriving. I also noticed that instead of constantly pushing through activating moments and trying to control everything, I can now pause when something happens. I can purposefully, with intention, listen to my body and mind and then respond in a way that communicates calm and feels balanced. Now, that's exactly what I do. That's what I help guide people into doing, releasing those stuck emotional patterns and blocks that have you feeling stressed in any kind of way, overwhelmed, angry. people pleasing. So, whether you're juggling endless responsibilities or trying to release emotional baggage, you too can do this starting now. And I'm going to tell you how. So far, drop a 3 in the chat if you're following me. If you are engaged and you're wanting to learn about this, about what I'm going to share today, let me know if this is relevant for you. All right. So, meet Amber. Amber was a marketing executive that I had worked with. And before working with me, Amber was very exhausted. She was overwhelmed by all her responsibilities. She liked what she did. The issue was that it was hard for her to set boundaries without feeling guilty. Now she's calm, centered, and able to navigate her life with emotional balance. She was constantly running on empty, juggling work and life, and felt like she couldn't breathe. Now she feels calmer, like she finally has control over her life instead of being controlled by her stress. And now meet Mariella. Mariella is a program manager. And before working with me, she was drained by everyone else's expectation. She had her family, her kids, her husband, her in laws demanding things of her, and her job as well. Now, she is approaching life with much more joy and clarity. She says here, before working with Amaka, I felt disconnected from myself and unsure about my purpose. Now, I'm more present in my life than ever and feel a sense of calm that I never thought was possible. How amazing is that? She was unsure of her purpose and she moved into clarity and joy and calm. How many of you are craving that type of shift in your life? Okay, I see a couple me's, I. Awesome, beautiful. You are in the right place. Now imagine this feeling. This is Priya, right? So, as a busy mom, as a lawyer, she was carrying everyone else's emotions, struggling to feel centered and calm. This photo of her smiling shows the joy and freedom she experiences now that she's finally able to show up fully for herself and for others. Just imagine how she feels releasing that load of responsibility and tension. It's possible for you too. So, where do we start? I'm sure that's the next question. What do we do? So, to elaborate on secret one, it's not about control, it's about understanding. So, your emotions are actually information. There are no such thing as bad emotions or wrong emotions. There's just what is, right? What are you feeling? And once you're able to understand that emotion you're feeling, you can receive the message that these emotions are trying to communicate to you. That way, it becomes easier to know how to respond versus reacting from that emotional energy. Let's say you're angry, right? Being angry, it's not about suppressing that anger, it's about what you do with it. Anger usually tells us that either a boundary has been crossed or a need is not being met. And that boundary can be crossed by you or someone else. Once you understand in that moment that your anger is trying to tell you that there's something that doesn't sit right with you and you would like to communicate that, you can then move to a space where you know exactly what needs to be said versus being reactive and just unleashing that emotional energy. We are wired for survival. So, any type of emotion like stress, it's a signal, it's not the enemy. Being aware allows you to choose what you want to do next so that you can move from a place of just surviving, which means doing anything you can to release tension or feel better in the moment, and move towards alignment, which is actually acting in a way that reflects your values. Now, this piece is very important. So if you haven't written anything down so far, this is something that you definitely want to jot down. This here is the mind body connection. As you can see, there's a trifecta of emotions, thoughts, and behavior. How we feel affects what we think and do. What we think affects how we feel and act. And what we do affects how we think and how we feel. It's very difficult to have one without the other two. That's why it's so important to understand the emotion that's coming up, because it does impact what you think and it does impact what you do. Now, let's talk about another client of mine, Sophia. She was someone who carried everyone else's emotions. She felt like it's so difficult to not be enmeshed with how other people are feeling, especially if it's people that she cares about. And because of this, she often struggled feeling centered, feeling grounded in what she was experiencing. Now, after working with me, she's now fully present and grounded in her own energy. She's able to tell the difference between her feelings and another person's feelings without absorbing it. Before working with the Maka, as she says, I was exhausted all the time and thought I had to keep pushing to succeed. Now I prioritize my own energy, rest without guilt, and I feel more alive than I have in years. So Sophia reclaimed her energy, y'all. She decided this is not sustainable carrying other people's emotions. I need to do something about this. And she did. She put in the work and did a wonderful job going through the program and getting to the other side, a side that she barely thought she could get to because she spent her whole life people pleasing and really focusing on other people's emotions instead of her own. Now, tell me in the chat, who feels like this is all making sense? Let me know. Okay, awesome. It's all coming together. Are you ready to learn the other two secrets and get started on healing the emotional patterns that have been draining you? I hope the answer is yes, because that's what this is all about. I see a couple yeses. Awesome. All right. So, secret two. The second secret here is to embody my signature path to peace blueprint. You guys, this is really where your mindset shifts. This is an opportunity to not only have your mindset change, but your emotional experience change as well. Also, there are a few spiritual practices that are aligned within this path to peace blueprint that let you tap into your natural ability to commune with your spirit, right? The spirit that animates your body, that makes you feel alive. We have to have ways of communicating with this part of ourselves. So, Path to Peace Blueprint takes these three things: the mindset shifts, emotional regulation, spiritual practices, and uses it to help you return to yourself. It reprograms all the things that were stuck in motion for years that have felt impossible to change. This is where we see real change, real and lasting change. Calm can be a lived experience, but not a temporary moment. Emotional resilience is built by rewiring the patterns that keep pulling you back into overwhelm so you can create a steady inner foundation that keeps you grounded. So, in the Path to Peace Blueprint, there's a three-part series. First part is awareness, which is huge, a huge first part. And so far, you guys are already doing a good job with that because you're aware there's a problem. And when we work on the Path to Peace Blueprint, we become even more aware as to why that pattern gets stuck, how you individually are impacted, and what needs to change. And the second part becomes releasing those things that get in the way of you showing up in the way that you prefer. So, releasing those stuck emotions, those thoughts, energetic stagnation or energetic gunk. And the last part is embodiment. This really is a big, important piece because without embodiment, you can make changes, but they can be short lived. Embodiment is what allows you to finalize those changes so that when you show up in the real world, when you move through, you're showing up as a new version of yourself, a version of yourself that you prefer. Most people only tap into one or two of these, but you really do need all three for this to actually work. That's how you keep it going. Now, let's talk some more about you. Have you ever wondered what your life would look like if stress didn't run the show anymore? Every person on the planet has a deeper self, right? Your spirit that craves peace and purpose. My work as a guide can help you soothe an overreactive nervous system that has been conditioned over time to react and shift old emotional patterns to build a version of yourself that feels grounded, that you feel that you can trust from inside. Your healing is waiting for you to say yes. Type a yes in the chat if you are excited to show up and take intentional action in your life. Amazing. Seeing a whole bunch of yeses. Okay, good. Have you felt off balance, drained, or disconnected from yourself? It's really time to step up fully into inner peace today. It's time to reprogram your relationship to stress. And this picture really emphasizes the energetic aspects of this work. These are neurons that are connected to other neurons. And for those of you who need a refresher about neurons, these are the pathways that allow us to make connections in our minds, allow us to see the world in different ways, allows us to connect with ourselves, to understand how to move through our world. And these little lines are called dendrite spines, and they can strengthen, they can weaken based on what we do and how often we do it. So when it comes to reprogramming your relationship with stressful situations, with your emotions in general, it is about repetition. However, without focused support and a plan, it is very easy to lose track of what you're working on and how you're working on it. Some of the mindset shifts that will happen in our work together, you might go from stress is bad, stress is my enemy, or emotions are bad, to emotions are information. This is telling me something. You can go from I just have to push through, I just got to get done, to I can respond consciously with intention. You can move from I'm failing if I feel overwhelmed to I am learning how to regulate myself, right? Now, emotional regulation includes noticing those emotional patterns without judging them, releasing old loops through breathing, mindfulness, tapping, building new calm responses that stick, and finally, creating lasting change instead of temporary relief by repeating the sequence over and over again. So if you don't take anything, this is a formula that you can work with. I can show you how to respond to stress intentionally rather than react automatically. You know those moments that you are talking to someone and you do something or you say something and you walk away feeling, why did I do that? Or why did I say that? Those are automatic reactions. You want to get to a point where you're not operating automatically when you're stressed out. You're able to pause and be intentional with your response. So instead of reacting, you're responding. That's where you want to get to. Some of the spiritual practices include journaling, intention setting, visualization, and conscious breathing to help you integrate your mind, heart, and your energy body. This creates lasting calm and balance through repetition, through practice. Now, tell me in the chat, who feels like they could experience life with more joy, ease, fulfillment? Okay, I'm seeing some me's. Okay, awesome. How about breaking generational and habitual patterns of stress? Breaking the cycle of what happens in your family when people get stressed out, right? No more shutting down, no more demeaning language, no more yelling, no more avoiding, right? And finally, the third secret, you do not have to earn peace. When you learn how to physically reconnect to the calm, the inner peace that you have, it becomes your natural state, your baseline, not something that you're always trying to seek or you're always chasing. It just becomes your default. Doesn't that sound nice? Now you're probably thinking, will this really work for me? Am I too busy managing everything else to focus on myself? I've been doing this way too long. How's it really going to change? I'm afraid of uncovering things I'm not even ready to face, which these are all valid. But let's talk a little bit more about what's on the other side of those fears. So meet Zari. She was overwhelmed, exhausted, and on the brink of burnout. Now she's confidently managing her stress while feeling more fulfilled, both at work and at home. Zari is aligned with her purpose, and she wasn't always. She wasn't even clear as to what that purpose was. Before working with the maca, I felt completely worn out from my nursing job, like I was running on fumes. After going through her program, I'm so much calmer and I can handle stressful days at work without feeling drained. This has truly been a life changing experience. Yes. When I finally realized I had to start from square one to reclaim my sense of calm and stop living on autopilot all those years ago, I knew what I had to do. It wasn't clear at first, but I knew. And you probably know this too. You have to face the patterns holding you back, commit to daily practices, and also trust the process. And I'm here to tell you to trust the process because while you're in it, it can be difficult to have that faith that there will be another side. But that's why I'm here as a guide because I've been through it and I can help you reach that other side. A major key is that lasting change comes from combining emotional awareness, energetic practices, and spiritual alignment. So, noticing and releasing those stuck emotions instead of suppressing them, using tools and practices that reset your energy and your nervous system, integrating mind, heart, and soul so your calm and balance becomes embodied, not temporary. Now, you might be thinking, oh, I've tried everything and nothing really works for me. Well, I'm glad you're here because most methods don't actually address the mind, heart, and energy body together. Using the right tools consistently and with intention is what makes the difference. Guidance and a clear framework also makes all the difference. So, here are just a few of my favorite tools and practices and why I use them. The Day One app, it's a great self-reflection app to track your emotions, your patterns, your thoughts, your triggers. If you feel that it's difficult to be aware of your triggers or your thoughts or different emotions that come up, I would start here and just track as much as you can. And the more you start to notice, the more you have to track. Another one is Insight Timer or Calm. These are really good for a quick energetic reset and for mental focus. So they have different meditations, different opportunities for you to just sit with yourself and focus inward. Also, I have Emotional Freedom Technique or tapping. I really love this one because it's a very quick and simple tool to release stuck emotions, reprogram limiting beliefs, and to move from reactive stress to calm. So, of course, this takes time and intention, but it is a pretty powerful tool that you can start using immediately. Another one of my favorite tools is Sage or Palo Santo for smudging, sound healing, and also visualization. So these are energetic tools that help clear stagnation. They often help to bring balance and keep you aligned on especially stressful days or after especially stressful days. Also, Notion, I like this app for tracking habits and routines. Just knowing that you're tracking something helps to build momentum and accountability. Also, YouTube is really great to um, tap into exercises that use your body or help release stress in your body. So, yoga is a really big one. Tai Chi, of course. High intensity interval workouts. Those are really great for me. I don't like the gym, so I like to use a series of different exercises that allow me to be in touch with my body and feel grounded so that as I move through the day, I feel present. what to expect as you get started. So, working with me, your perspective will shift, your boundaries will become clearer, you will reclaim a sense of yourself. That's just inevitable because that is what you're coming here for. And I'm just here again to reiterate that it's possible for you. I am living proof. You'll notice awareness before mastery. So, again, awareness is the first big piece. It's about noticing the things that you do not prefer, the things that you wish to be different. Changes happen in layers. So, think of your experience with your triggers and your emotional patterns as an onion, and you're peeling back the layers to really get to the root. Um, of what is causing those reactions. And you'll likely face resistance, whatever form that might look like for you. It can look like self sabotage, it can look like avoidance, it can look like minimizing the impact or the value that you're getting. Emotions may feel amplified at first, meaning you may feel very triggered by what you're noticing, meaning you may not have noticed that you become angry each time somebody asks you for your help. And then once you start to notice it, that emotion may actually amplify because you don't exactly know how to change it. But with the right support, you are able to progress through change much more quickly. Integrating any changes that you make will take practice. So awareness gets you started. Here are another couple of people that I've worked with. Vanessa says, I've been in therapy in the past, but this is the first time I felt the mind-body connection in such a profound way. 100% recommend, especially if you are in a breaking point in your life. Amaka is so empathetic and led me through the process of healing and reconnecting with my emotions, my body, and my life journey. This is just what I love to do. Now, let's talk about the process of being triggered and reacting. So remember, your journey or your work is to get to a place where you're no longer reacting, but instead you're making a decision on what to do next, what action to take. So when you get to a point that you can actually take a pause, a timeout, when you're feeling any intense emotion or a trigger takes place, and then you want to breathe when you're in that pause. So it may sound really simple, but just taking a moment to breathe in through your nose very, very, very slowly. Hold it for just a moment and then breathe out through your mouth even slower. Allows you to make a decision as to what you want to do next. Even if that decision is to just ask for some space or more time. When your brain is stuck in reacting mode, it's looping subconscious patterns, things that you're not even really thinking about. It's just acting. And when it's doing that, it really makes it difficult to choose what you want to do next. So this is the pattern that you want to interrupt, that automatic reaction. And so breathing is a really, really great way to start that process. All right. So what we've covered today: one, emotions are communication. Practical tools help balance emotions, right? Like breathing. Commitment to practices helps healing. Spiritual practices support lasting calm. Awareness of hidden patterns is the first step. Stuckness can be reprogrammed. So you don't have to be stuck in any type of emotional pattern or reactive process. Calm. Calm is your true natural state, and you can have access to it. You may just need support getting there. Now, if you did everything you've learned here today, do you think you can finally move from stuck reactions to intention and respond to triggers with calm and feel more in control of your life? Drop a yes in the chat if that's you. If no, feel free to say no. I have some information coming up for you next. You know the path to calm, balance, and inner peace, but would it be helpful? Would it be easier if I guided you there? Are you okay if I spend the next 10 minutes or so just sharing with you how I can help and guide you? Yes, yes. Okay, awesome. All right. So you've seen a few of the testimonials that of people that I've directly helped and supported. They are all now responding to stress with ease and living more aligned with their true selves. You're here today because you want to learn how to move from feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and emotionally stuck to experiencing calm, balance, and confidence in your life. You want to learn how to release what's holding you back, clear emotional blocks, and consciously choose a new reality where you feel calm, balanced, and fully in control of your life. You felt like you've been ready for more peace, balance, and ease in your life, but you're now ready to act on that feeling and make a change. Now is your time. I have some excellent news for you. It is your time to experience that emotional freedom, confidence, and personal alignment that comes from intentional action. You can stop waiting for the right time to take the leap into releasing stress and reclaiming your peace. You can now step fully into your potential and create lasting emotional transformation so that whatever anybody is doing, whatever is happening, it's not throwing you off. It's not making you feel anxious or stressed out or hopeless. Remember, I don't have any advantages or special skills. I don't have any secret tool or access to expensive resources that you can't always also have access to. I just have a system that works. So if I can do this, you can too. Start with a firm decision to change. Introducing Inner Devotion, my group coaching program. This program is meant for you to become a calmer, more clear, balanced version of yourself in just 8 weeks. This is Krish. He says, my life has a deeper meaning thanks to the Inner Devotion program. I feel brand new levels of confidence. I feel more balanced, more centered, and more aligned with who I am becoming. This program is truly transformational. So what you'll get in this program is 4 themed pillars. We're looking at awareness, release, reconnection, and embodiment. We're going to have weekly group calls for those 8 weeks within a private community space. There's going to be direct coaching and guidance from me, an emotional transformation specialist. And this is 8 weeks of deep emotional transformation. By the end of our time together, you will have built a calm, regulated nervous system. You would have rewritten the patterns that are keeping you stuck and also create a sustainable lifestyle of inner peace and balance. Now, if you're ready to stop living in overwhelm and start living in devotion to your inner peace, I'd love to invite you to the Inner Devotion Program. So, all you have to do is click the QR code here on the next slide, or actually, I'm just going to post it up here in a second and apply to work with me. So here's the QR code right here on the screen. Once I get your application and I go through it, if it is approved to move forward into the program, you will get a welcome email and um, a choice of when to jump in, which cohort to join. But yeah, if you have any questions, drop them in the chat. Oh, I have some questions. Okay, so let's go into questions. Thank you all so much for being here.